Hello? Am I on? All right. I'm David, and I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ, and so are you all. I was born in 1969, August 20th. I'm 48 years old. You know, I always lived my life like that year was important because it was 69. We had Woodstock. We had going to the moon and some other stuff. But I finally realized today it's because I was born. Jesus made me that day. Through the years, I'd say the first time I really picked up on Jesus, and I still remember it today when I think back, I was Catholic. I was born Catholic, raised Catholic, and baptized when I was a baby. And I remember catechism, I don't know what age, it was 7 to 10 years old. And when I think about that moment, I was in class, and I can still see a picture of Jesus Christ. That picture is just perfect. I see it every time when I think about it. So there, to me, it was my first introduction to Jesus. I know what Jesus was then. But I grew up as a kid not knowing about Jesus so much as I did about the devil. And I was scared of him because my grandpa, he was hardcore brimstone and you're going to burn up. And when he would say blessings, he did it like Kevin, about 20 minutes worth of it. But he was a very Christian man. But I was scared of the devil. When I was little, I always thought pitchfork. I was going to get the pitchfork. That's the devil getting me with the pitchfork in the butt. That's what I grew up thinking, and I was so wrong. It's so much worse. As I grew up from then, I think at that age, I started knowing wrong or right. Somewhere right around that age for me I started feeling guilty when I do things. Some of my worst fourth and fifth step was when I was young. That's some of my hardest stuff to tell, but I need to tell it because that's what I did, and I knew it, and I've had shame all these years for that. And so that's when it started, and then as I grew older, and you get up in them teens, boy, you really start acting up. You got girls in the way. Premarital sex started for me when I was 14 or 15, and I felt guilty every time. And then I tried to con myself in, well, I love her and it's my girlfriend, it's okay. But deep down inside, I knew it wasn't okay. And about that time when the premarital sex started, the drinking started in high school. I was a bully too. I want to let you know that I was a bully, and I'm sorry for you, the ones that's been bullied. I was a popular kid. I was good at sports, really good at sports. Never did go through it. I lived in a fantasy. I had scholarships and turned them down. Football, I was really good in baseball. Just came natural to me. And then all that went to sinning, girls, drinking, carrying on. My drinking history through high school consisted of on the weekends. It was a weekend thing. Never did smoke pot till I got out of high school. I was a real redneck about that. I didn't want none of my buddies smoking pot, which some of them were, but I didn't want it. Boy, I was hard against drugs, but alcohol was okay. And so I thought that's typical. I thought that's a typical high schooler's life, doing that weekend drinking, football, sports, basketball, track, all that stuff's in the way. And then summertime, I was working and chasing girls and drinking more. Once in a while we get that middle of the week in there. I can remember the first drug I ever tried was gasoline, huffing gasoline when I was a kid, probably 7th or 8th grade. That's where it started for me, and I was hooked on it at that age. No wonder I'm smarter than I am. I gassed it all the way back then. But I can remember when I did that, I was on top of a tractor and I passed out huffing it, and I smelled like gasoline. My parents didn't think nothing of it. They said, "What do you smell like gasoline for?" And I told them, but nothing was ever done. My dad was an alcoholic too, so I grew up in an alcoholic family. I didn't have a terrible, horrendous family. I mean, there was special moments. There was no "I love you" and the kissing and the hugging, which when I got kids, I made that a big thing. I loved my kids a lot, but I was a terrible, worst of all parent. I've done things that's unspeakable with my kids. But I loved them. I showed them love, and I helped them. Because I didn't have it, it's the only reason. I wanted to give them something I didn't have. And plus it was for me too, though. I was missing that love. When I was 17, my mom killed herself. And she was a big Christian, and then I found out later she had a breakdown when I was born, so she had some mental illness. But, back then we didn't get help. I didn't have help, but I'm finally working through it. I'm finally mourning my mom's death. And that's why we're hurt. That's why we're broke. Other things that happened, I was molested a couple times, once by an older kid, and the other thing was by a chiropractor. And I was ashamed that it happened. And I was afraid of what my dad would do, and I never told nobody. So I quit growing up. I was stuck as a kid, and just now I'm probably a good 17, 18 years old. Maturity, because I'm learning how to mourn. I'm learning how to get rid of them hurts. And I got hurts, and I still have hurts. I still have habits and hang-ups. I understand the HH and the H. This is why this is for everybody, not just alcoholics and addicts. When my mom did kill herself, that just turned me loose. That turned me loose, completely insane, and everybody needs to feel sorry for me, and it's okay what I do. And that's how I lived my life for a long, long time, is that I was hurt, and everybody else should be hurt too. And about after that, when I graduated high school, that's when I started into smoking pot, and that's when all of my sports dreams went away. They all went away. They just were fantasies. Got heavy into smoking pot, didn't go to class, didn't do the school thing. Got into hallucinogenics, acid, mushrooms, and that's when I really lost my youth, my innocence. That's when I was awake to, I'm confused and I don't know what God is. I always had Jesus. I always played Jesus my own way. I made Jesus who I wanted him to be, and he was my ace in a hole and I always said that the way I wanted to die is to get shot. So right when I die, I can say, "I'm sorry, Jesus." Isn't that something? That's the way I lived my life. That's how insane I was. I've looked for all different ways to make God. I tried to make him that he would be what I wanted him to be. And what I've finally learned is I've got to be what he wants me to be. And that's period it, and that's the end of the statement. There's no medium ground. And anyhow, I got through that hallucinogenic stage, and I'm telling you, that was wild, crazy, and it really changed who I was. Really, they said you're just tripping, but boy, it's so real, and it stayed with me. That how you just this ain't real, because it was so real to me. So I got out of that. It scared me. It scared me so much. It got me away from pot and hallucinogenics, and I went into just drinking heavy, whiskey drinking. That's what I didn't want no beer. I wanted to get whiskey drunk, and I was a total nightmare. I was the bestest guy, And there was always that point, and I always hit that point when I was worried about what I had said, what I'd done, and I didn't take people's feelings into account. And I hurt a lot of people. And I didn't mean to. I didn't really want to. And that's my whole life, is I just want to be loved. That's the main thing. I want to be loved, and I want to quit doing bad things. But I couldn't help myself. I understood the flesh. Since I've been in the program, I've learned so much about who I was and what I am now and why I am the way I want to be now. After the years of drinking, I got into the cocaine and the meth, and didn't really have I didn't think for me it wasn't a bad problem, but as soon as I started smoking crack, it got bad. And then I knew what the grip of something. I knew what being controlled by a substance meant, and to be dead honest, I would do anything for crack. At one moment in time, I'd do whatever. You talk about yets. I still have yets if I go back to it, and I have no control over the substances. They control me, and the substance to me now that I see it, it's the devil. It was an easy one for him. It's easy. It was easy for him to have control of me and control my life. It's not so easy for him anymore, but he sure tries. He sure gets in there and he tries now. So I did the crack thing, and that's my baby. That's the one I want. When I want to fall off the wagon, I'm going back to the old pipe. That's what I want. But anyhow, that wasn't enough for me. I got in an accident, and I got started on prescriptions. I was on about 8 of them for PSTD. I was on disability about 10 years. It had me down. The prescriptions had me down. So I got my life on opiates. Well, I didn't have opiates yet, but I was using the depression stuff and drinking too, and the crack was in there. Crack flared for a lot of years, and. But I found out what a real nightmare that prescriptions can be. They can be your worst nightmare. You get physically ill. Opiates. I never did do heroin, but it's just because I couldn't find it. Prescriptions, you got to be, for me, I'm not telling everybody not to go get on prescriptions, but I don't have any prescriptions in my life except for gout prescriptions. I don't need them. It was just... I was trying to fix me with a pill, and I could fix all the craziness, but then I wasn't me. And I still get anxious. I still have anxiety, but I know how to calm it down, and it's through Jesus. I'm just telling you my hurts, habits, and hang-ups, and I'm going to get to tell you about what Jesus did for me in the end when I get done here. I'm just trying to get through my drunk log, as they would call it, and it's not pretty. I've done some really horrendous things. And to my kids, after that, I got into AA. I won't knock AA. I quit going to AA even, but I go back now because, I'm needed there too. I like to have that. That's something to fit in. I just quit doing what AA wanted me to do, making my own God. That didn't work. Even after I found my God, that still didn't work either. It was me finally giving my life to him. And I suggest if you ain't done that, you better get with it, because I think that's what it takes for everybody. I know that's what it took for me, a full giving in to it. But anyhow, I'm going to jump some stuff because I'm getting closer in a little bit. But after I got going through the prescriptions and the opiates, I had to go to rehab to get off them, and they like to give you Suboxone. And I can remember this moment, and I said, Jesus, if you can, don't make me have to take the Suboxone. And you know what? I went through no withdrawals going to rehab, and that was crazy to me. not going through the withdrawals, because they're terrible. They're some of the worst things that imagine to people. And if you're an opiate or heroin, you know what I mean. And the Suboxone's a doozy to get off of too. I've seen people try to get off of it, and it's rough. It's a double-edged sword. So then, I had my spurts of sobriety in AA. I had a year. At first, it was bang, bang, back and forth. And I was probably 36, so it's been 12 years of this and this, and I got a year and a couple months or something now. Clean and sober, really clean and sober. I've never been really clean and sober, let alone emotionally. And I sin and I get angry and that, but I don't put chemicals in my body. I haven't put a chemical one in my body. It ain't supposed to be there, unless it's necessary. And I know the day is coming someday. I'm going to have an opiate in my body, probably. It's more than likely there's going to be a surgery or something. But I'm going to be spiritually ready, and I know I can do that. There is no problem there. But anyhow, what drove me, in all this back and forth, I had Jesus, I thought, really good this last time. And I was working on almost 2 or 3 years again. And I've done accept him in my life, and he was going to be it. But I was lying to myself. I was kidding. There was that little itty bitty piece back in there says, "Now you're making him what you want him again. You ain't giving in." And I had a wife. I was married at this time, and she didn't believe, and she didn't want me believing. She didn't like it, and we ended up getting in a divorce. Well, my dog died. I'm gonna tell you, my dog died. And I didn't mourn it right, and it devastated me. And so that's part of the excuse. We always like excuses, so there was excuse. My wife wanted a divorce, and I thought I took care of it right. And I thought I really did. I thought I emotionally did. I talked about it. I accepted it, and I didn't. I didn't, but the reason why I used, because I didn't have Jesus really in my heart. That's flat out. Anything why I ever go back to using is because I haven't really got Jesus. And I'm cured. I'll tell you right now, I'm cured. I'm not going back. I'm absolutely cured from the obsession. And God made that to me. He made it to me by his knowledge. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what drove me back to getting sober again is I went on a bender, and it started out with some weak old tramadol, which ain't weak because it sends me back every time. Might take months, years. It always sends me back. And it did. It sent me back. I couldn't get it, so I finally wanted my baby back. So I went and got me some crack. Got me some meth too, because the crack wasn't come quick enough, and I went on a bender for one night. And I went all day, and my son was living with me at the time. He knew I was messed up. I know he did, but I didn't care. So I got more. I went on a day 2, and then he went to work, and day 2 didn't work out so great for me. I went into alter reality. And I'm talking a whole different reality of hallucination. They were hallucinations. I'd tell you right now, they're not, because they were so real. I've seen stuff. I felt stuff. I was bound. How do you physically get bound? Are you totally nuts? And I'm going to tell you right now, I believe it was demons. I believe it. I believe there was demons there. I believe they've been with me all my life. And for y'all, I might just be crazy, but that's still, nobody ever wants to be there. But in all of that 3 days, I didn't have drugs. I was still living these hallucinations out. And I don't believe they were hallucinations, like I said. And I didn't have no drugs. So, and then all of a sudden, one moment in time, my son, he was watching all this, by the way, and he said, "It's not real. I can't see this. This ain't happening." And at that moment, God give me the best gift he ever gave me in my life. He let me know he's real, and I didn't have him. And I was in hell, dead in hell. And that's the only way I can explain that. And I was going for the gun to kill myself because I couldn't stand that feeling. And I was almost had my mind made up to do it, and then I thought, in the next moment, I can fight this. This ain't real. And I believe the demons they played their high hand on me right there, trying to get me to go ahead and take myself out. Because I always thought that was in me because of my mom. And she was a born-again Baptist too, so I have faith that she made it to heaven. I really do, even though it doesn't matter to me, that part, but I loved my mom, and she was a very Baptist woman. And at that moment, that changed my life. And I'm here now because of that moment. And I'm scared. I'm scared of it because that's what's going to be there waiting for me. They'll be there waiting for me if I use it again, but that ain't why I stay sober. I stay sober because Jesus has showed me so much love. I know he's real. I'm going to tell you right now, he's real. If you got a doubt, he's real. Take my word for it. So there was my trip to hell. I know you've heard trips to hell. They see fire and brimstone. You don't need fire from what I've seen. And after I made that decision, you want to talk about the demons. Got mean, loud. They were talking to me. They were telling me I've already dead. And I just don't know it. And I felt that way all my life, that I might be living in purgatory because I was a Catholic, And anyhow, I had a heart. I was a grown man, and my sister is really religious too. And I called her a lot. I had to get her on the phone because I was scared at night because stuff was still tripping around, and I thought maybe this is going to be me for the rest of my life. I'm going to be seeing and hearing stuff and feeling stuff, and how am I going to stay sane? They're going to put me in the nut ward. And I just had faith and kept dealing with it. It started coming here immediately. And my son Jordan, he suggested this place to me. And I always used to tell him, don't you go over there. You stay in AA and you do this and you do that. They're going to brainwash you. And it ain't a brainwashing. It's just knowing what the truth is. I know what the truth is. That's just it. And I wish everybody could have what I've got. And that's what I was always scared of, going to hell. But I got to go. He let me see, and now I don't have to be there no more. Anyhow, through that learning this program, I started coming. I was sleeping with the lights on too for about a week. I'm serious. I had to have lights on. A grown 48-year-old man calling his sister for comfort and having the lights on and wanting people to stay with me. That's the way it was for a week, and then I started coming here, and then I remember when Rick was standing, and Rick was doing it there, and he went on one of his longest ones I ever seen, I think. Come on up if you want to give your life, there he was. The Holy Spirit was in me, and he said, get up, get up, get up, and I swear he picked me up and forced me up there and right to Rick, and he didn't shove me off. It was like that was meant for me. And I appreciate everybody being here for that. And if you ever hear that voice in you, just get on up. Don't be shy. I was shy, but I'm getting less shy and less shy. And that's the way he wants me to. He wants me to be uncomfortable. He wants me to do things for him. And ever since that moment, I've been getting blessed. I asked for I was a truck driver, so I was out on the road a lot, and I started saying things about wanting to do more here. I want to be a part of this more because I wasn't getting to do enough on the road. And Kevin, he's my partner now, he said he needed some help, and he'd be my partner. Not that I'd work for him, that he'd be my partner. And I'd appreciate it. Changed my life, changed my being able to help going to jail and going to church, doing the other things, trying to help the other guys out. I really appreciate that at the time, Kevin. And I appreciate everybody. I appreciate Rick and Bobby, and I get different things from each of you. I don't put you up on a pedestal because I know you can fail me, but I know Jesus won't. And I'll tell you, I asked for things from Jesus, and he gives them to me. I wanted to know how he wanted me to love him. I couldn't understand how to love him, and it just came to me that he wants me to come running like my grandson would come to me, with nobody forcing him to love me. And that's how I got to come to Jesus, and that's how he wants it. And I learned that Jesus, he feels. He does. He feels. I always had him as he's got to be the commander, and he's going to be straight. And no, he's got emotions. And his biggest emotion is love. And I understand that. You know, I see Jesus once in a while. I seen Jesus one time. I was just being nice to a guy, and I was getting that feeling, and I was just being overkind to him, and it was no special thing. It was an Ace Hardware, and he looked over as I was leaving, and he helped me, and he started out kind of fadey, and then I looked over my shoulder. I could see a twinkle in his eye. I swear I seen God then in people. And I did it the other day. The most important thing that I've ever done in my life I'm a hunter. And first day of deer season, that's the first priority in a super deer hunter's life, is first day or maybe the whole weekend. And this deer season, my sister, she sings in church stuff, and they were having, and she'd been out of the group for several years now, but they was getting a reunion. And she told me about it, and it hit me. Well, yeah, it's first day deer hunting, you know that, and this and that, and I thought there will be many more deer hunting. But something wasn't in me, and I got some of my family to go, and I didn't even realize it was deer season, really. I mean, it didn't really matter. That deer season didn't matter nothing to me. And when I got there, I could see that she was surprised. And when I left, I seen God again. It's the best thing I've ever done for anybody, especially for her. And I hope I can keep doing that. And I hope I keep seeing God, because I love it. And that's going to keep me going. So that's basically my story up to date. And like I said, that story I just told you about my sister is the most important thing that ever happened to me, except for accepting Jesus Christ as my Savior and relying on the Holy Ghost that lies inside me. And he's right here. And he's getting up into here, though. I can feel him. It's like when I get at prison, I really get going. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you all get through this thing we call life and find Jesus and learn his love. Because it is great when it's great. And we are going to, when we're mourning, you need to get to mourning. I've learned so much. You need to mourn, and then you need to get healed, and then you get ready up and get ready for the next person that needs help. So I want to thank you all, and I love you all, and I've really enjoyed this. This has been really easy.